Hey guys, welcome back to Modern Web. In today's video, we'll continue our e-commerce store website. So in this video, we will add payment gateway. This is the last video, so make sure you watch all the previous videos first before you follow this one. You can find the playlist link in the description. So let's see the demo. You can see I am on the cart page which we made in the previous video. If I click on the checkout, I am redirected to the login page because in order to access checkout page I need to log in. So after login, if I again click on the checkout button, you can see I got the page. In this page we have form for our address info, and below that we have a cart. We can change and modify the order from here, and on the right we have total bill amount. So if I click on the place order, I got an error showing fill all the inputs. So here we are validating the form as well because we need that to store in the Firebase. So here let's quickly fill the form, and now if I click on the place order button again, you can see I got the payment page. This is a Stripe page, and here you can see the cart items detail and price as well. If I click on back button to cancel the payment, you can see I am getting an error here saying try again. So now let's check the payment is working or not. So for that, let me refill the form again and click on the place order. Since I am in the test mode right now, I can type anything here, and for the card number, make sure you type this. So if I click on pay now, you can see it's processing the payment. And now I got a message saying order is done. So this means the payment is successfully done and our order is placed. So this is what we are going to make in this video. I know I said I'll make this site responsive as well, but since it took me a lot of time to upload this part, I think responsive can be done by yourself easily. You just need to use media query. You can download the complete e-commerce website source code in just $2. It's a limited time deal, so just grab it right now. You can find the link in the description. And you can also connect with me on my Discord server. It's in the description as well. Also, if you like, you can follow my Instagram as I post helpful web dev posts there. So without wasting more time, let's start coding. So first make checkout pages. For that, make checkout.html inside the public folder, and also make the JavaScript and CSS files as well. So once you are done creating all the three files, let's write the basic HTML template and change the title to, let's say, online store checkout because it's a checkout page, and link the CSS files we need. For the CSS file, I am copying the links from the card.html page because it has Google font links as well. So copy these links and paste inside it. But we need some more styles for our address form. For that, add form.css and add product.css file, and also link the checkout.css file as well. Make sure you link the checkout.css file at very last so that we can override these styles and also import these script files. Make sure you import these script files in same order. So once done with the importing of scripts, let's make the navbar. To make a navbar, just create a nav element and give it a class navbar. Our nav.js will make the navbar then, and let's start the server by running npm start. So if I access my checkout page, I'm getting 404 because we don't have any checkout route. So open server.js file and go at very last and add a get request to our checkout route. So say app.get on checkout, and in response send checkout.html file. You can copy this line and paste it here, just change the name to checkout instead of cart. And if I again access my checkout, okay, it's not working, let's check it again. Let's go to checkout, and yeah, it's working, I'm getting it, but you can see the text is white. We have a dark class for that, so add dark class, and yeah, all the text are black now. So after the navbar we have to add the error element. For that, make a div and give it a class error, and inside it just make a p element and write anything you like. So this is our error element. We already made this in previous videos. Now go to cart HTML and copy this whole cart section element, because we want whole cart section in our checkout page. So copy the cart section and paste it right below the error. You can remove the comment here. So let's see whether it's working or not, and yeah, I'm getting my cart item as well as the total amount. So remove this checkout button and instead add a button element. Give it a class place order button. So this button will be the place order button. So you can give place order btn and say place order in text. So you can see a button here, but actually give it place order btn instead of button, because we have this class in our css file. So if I go to my cart.css file, you can see after the checkout btn I have place order btn to give the same style to this button also. So that's it. Now we have to make the address form. For that, above the card section make a div and give it a class form, because it's a form, and inside it make a h1 element and give it a class, let's say, heading. So this will be the heading, and I am saying it a checkout. And after that make a p element, give it a class, let's say text, and say delivery address. So you can see here, give it a class text, so it will style it little bit. All these class we have made in our previous videos. I'm just reusing those classes. In checkout.css, let's style a bit. So select the body element and give it some padding from top, let's say 80 pixels, because current padding top is too much, so make it low. And then select the form element, give it a width 100%, so it will cover the whole space, and give it some padding. It's looking good. Now let's make the input box. So for that, go to checkout.html, and after the p element make an input element, set its type to text, and give it an id instead of class, and give it id address and also a placeholder to define what is it. Make two or more copies of input and change the id and placeholder respectively. I am making inputs for address, street, city, state, pin code, and landmark. So basically we want or I want our city, state, and pin code input side by side. For that, cut those inputs and make a div element. Give it a class 3 input container, and this div element will make the inputs side by side. So we will give a flexbox property to it, so this will make them side by side. If I refresh the page, you can see all the inputs are below each other, but we want these three to be side by side. For that, first of all, let's select the input elements and set their background color to hash f5. This is a light grayish color, and also give it a margin of top, let's say 10 pixels from top and bottom, and 0 to 0, left to 0. And now select the 3 input container element and set its display to flex. By setting its display to flex, we can make input side by side, you can see it, and add a gap property to it and say, let's say 20 pixel, and it will create a gap of 20 pixels between the elements. So our form is done, but we have some space between our form and a card section. For that, select the card section element and remove its margin top. So set margin top to 0, so it will remove the margin, but it's not working because the class name is card section, not card container. So let me correct it, and if I refresh it, now it's looking good. So I guess we are done with our checkout page. Now we just have to make or write the JavaScript to process the payment. For that, the first thing we want is, if user access the checkout page, we want he is logged in. Otherwise, we want to redirect the user to the login page. For that, add a onload event, and inside that event, check for a condition is session storage dot user, means session storage contains user or not. If it doesn't contain the user, which means he is not logged in that case, redirect the user to the login route by location dot replace. So you can see I am logged in. If I logged out, I'm redirected to the login page, and let me log in again. So if I'm log in and access my checkout, now you can see I'm not being redirected. So our onload is working fine. Okay, so now select the place order button using the document query selector. So define a place order btn and set it equals to document.query selector, and pass the place order btn class inside it. So it will select the button and add a click event to it using add event listener method, and make a callback function. Inside this function, the first thing we want is to get the data of address from the form. So define an address variable and set it equals to get address function. Well, get address function will basically read the form data and return the address object and store it inside this address variable. So make a get address function, and the first thing we want is to validate the form. To validate the form, first of all we need those elements, right? So define the variable and set them equals to document.query selector and their id's name, in this case which is address. You can see it here. So I'm copying this address and pasting it here, and since it is a input, if I add dot value, it will give me the value of that input. So make 2 or 3 copies of it and change the variable name and the id name as well to select all the inputs. So once you are done selecting all the inputs, we need to validate them. The basically we just want that all fields are filled. For that, just check address dot length, means if address doesn't have a length, exclamation mark will reverse the condition. So just write these condition, and these condition basically means none of the inputs should be empty. Make sure you add exclamation mark before each statement, and inside the if condition, if any of the input is empty, return this show form error function. Well, show form error function we have made in previous videos. This function basically show the error, so inside it just type fill all the inputs and return it. So if I click on place order button now, you can see I'm getting fill all the inputs error. So it means our validation is working. So let me fill all the inputs and again click on the place order. You can see I'm not getting anything. So yeah, our condition is working fine. So add a else condition here, and so if our input is filled, then return this object containing all the input fields. So just return the object of address, street, city, state, pin code and landmark. So once we get the address, just console log it for now. So just say console.log, and let me quickly fill the form. Open the console and click on place order, and you can see we got the address. So we are done with this. We just need to send this address or some other data to our backend. So we will do that later. First of all, let's go in server.js and let's make the Stripe payment or set up the Stripe. So for that, first of all, go to dashboard.stripe.com and create your account, or if you have one, just log in. I'm logged in. So once you are logged in your dashboard, the only thing we want from there is the API key. So for now, kill the server and install the Stripe package by running npm istripe command. It will install the Stripe package in our project. So once we install that package, again restart the server by running npm start, and now go at the very top of the server.js and import the Stripe from the Stripe package. So this will import the Stripe package, and we need to set up that Stripe, right? So at the very end, after the checkout route, we will set up the Stripe. So define a variable saying Stripe gateway, and yes, my spelling is incorrect here. Set it equals to Stripe. Stripe is a function, and inside it we will pass the API key, so it will set up the Stripe. And since we are going to store the address or the API key in our .env file, we have to use process.env and then the variable name to access that from the env file, and also make a variable name domain and set it equals to process.env.domain. So this will be the domain of our website because we need it in the processing of payment. So now just make a route of Stripe checkout with a post. So basically in our front end we will make a post request to this Stripe checkout route, and it will give us a link where we can go and make payment. So make it a asynchronous function because we don't know how much time it will take, and inside it make a variable name session. So we need a checkout session for that. Since it's a asynchronous function, add a await keyword and access the Stripe gateway, and we want a checkout. So say Stripe gateway dot checkout dot session dot create. So it will create the checkout session, and inside it we need to pass some parameters. The first parameter is payment method types. Well, payment method type is how we want user to pay. In this case we want user to pay with his card. And the second parameter is mode, which is of course the payment mode. The third parameter is success URL. So this success URL parameter is just when the payment is successfully done, where we have to redirect the user. In this case we want it to redirect to the success route, and here pass the domain, so it will redirect the user to our domain with the success route. And the cancel URL is for when the payment get cancelled. So if the payment get cancelled, we want the user to be redirected to our checkout page. So say /checkout and with our domain variable, of course. And then at the last we want the items data. So say line items. So line items parameter is an array of items which we will be displaying in our payment section, so it will create the invoice. So go in our front end and we have to send some data to our backend first. So after this address, make a fetch and make a request to Stripe checkout route, and set its method to post because we want to send some data there. So set method to post, and set its header to new headers, and set the header to content type application slash JSON because it's a JSON text. After that, set its body to JSON.stringify, so it will stringify the object. and send this object. The first thing we want to send is the item, so set item equals to json.far, so it will far the card stored in our local storage. So we are just fetching our card from our local storage and setting it equals to this item. So we just want to send the cart items to our backend and send address as well, which is this address variable, and also send the email of the user. Access the email of the user by session storage.user, because we have stored our user inside our session storage. So this way we can send the data to our backend. So once we send this, add a then block and say to response.json to convert the response in JSON, and then add another then block, and inside it just console log the URL we get from the backend. So once we send the data to our backend, here we will process the data to pass it inside this line item. So every data we are getting is inside the request.body, and since we are interested in the items, we will use request.body.items because it is the name of the cart items, right? And dot map will allow to loop through each items because it's an array. So once we are loop, return the object, return this object, and inside this object we just need to say some parameters, set some parameters. So the first parameter is price data, so this will be the data regarding the price. The first thing is currency, in which currency the price is, which is USD in this case. The second parameter is product detail or product data, not detail, product data. So this is the data of the product. So set the name to item.name. Well, item is the keyword we are getting, and set its description to item.short description. This all data is we have stored in our cart, and this all name is our in our cart. And set its images to an array of item.images. So if I open my console and console log what is stored in my cart by simply typing here json.fars local storage.cart, you can see the image, name, item, price, and short description keywords here. The same keywords we are using in the backend to get or set them equals to the parameters. So after the product data, add a unit amount parameter, and this is the price of our product. And basically in the Stripe we set the price in cents, so we are just simply multiplying it by 100 to convert the dollar into cents. And after the price data, add quantity and set it equals to item.item, because we have an item key here which refer to the quantity. So this is little bit hard to understand, but it's not that much of hard. I hope you get that. So now we are actually done. At the very last, just say response.json and send this session.url. So basically the session variable will generate a URL, and we will send this URL to our front end, and we are consoling it. So if I click on place order by filling this form, and if I click on place order, okay, I'm getting some errors. Let's see, open the terminal, and it is saying create of undefined. Let's see what is this. So the first thing is change the spelling of Stripe gateway here, and the second thing is it's not session, it's sessions with S. So add a S at the last, and I hope it will work now. So if I refresh it, click on place order, it is giving error again. Okay, I haven't given the API key. So once you logged in your dashboard, go to the developers section, and inside it go to API section and click on this show API key. Just copy this secret key. This secret key is used in the test mode, so copy this and go to your .env file and create the Stripe key variable, which is we are accessing in the backend. So just define a Stripe key variable and set it equals to this key, and also make a domain variable and set it equals to our website domain, which is in this case localhost 3000. Remove the backslash here and save it. Now kill the server and restart it by running npm start. And now if I fill the form and click on place order, you can see I'm getting a link. So if I open this link in new window, you can see a payment page here, which is $199, which is we have a total bill, and you can see the product name, product description, and pay with card option. So we just need to redirect the user to this page now. So since we got this data here, instead of console logging it, just redirect the user to this URL by location.href. So this will change the header reference and set it equals to URL, and also add a catch block so it will react if any error happens. If any error occurs, just console log it simply. So if I again fill the form, you can see the product, and now if I place the order, I am redirected to the page with the same product name, the total amount, and the option of pay with a card. But you can see we are not getting the image, right? Because we have stored our image in other type of file, but the Stripe only accepts or understand the JPG file. So to fix that, go to add product.js, and instead of here multipart slash form data inside the upload input, where we are putting or uploading the image, change that multipart form data to image slash jpg, so it will rewrite the type of the image to jpg file. So now if we create some more products with more new images, it will store them as a jpeg file, and then we can access it in our Stripe. So let me create 2 or 3 more products so that we can demonstrate that. Let me quickly do that. I have stored 2 more products with the image of JPEG file format. So if I add them to the cart now, and if I just remove this antique hanging product and go to my checkout page, you can see the total bill is 648 USD. And if I fill the form and place the order, if I click on place order, you can see the images here right now. So it means we have successfully stored the images in JPG format, and now our Stripe can read those images. So if I click on place order again, you can see I'm also getting the quantity indications and the total bill. So actually we are basically done with our payment section. We just need to validate whether it's successed or not. So for that, inside this Stripe checkout, instead of only successed out, add a query to it also, saying session underscore id equals to curly brackets checkout session id. Make sure you write this exactly the same because this is from Stripe. So basically what it will do, it will store the session id inside this session id variable, and redirect the user with that ID, so we can validate that to confirm that yes, the payment is successful or not. And also make a order variable, or actually order query, and set it equals to json.stringify request.body. So we are just sending whatever we get from the front end to this URL. We are just attaching the data to this URL along with the session ID, so that we can validate the session, and if it is correct, then we will store the data to our backend and alert the user that the payment is done. So if I fill the form now and click on place order, let me quickly pay it. So in test mode you can fill anything in the inputs you like. The only thing you make sure is in the card number you have to give 424242 only, and in the month of expiry date you can give any future date, and CVC any number you like. And you can type anything in the fields, it doesn't matter because we are in still in the test mode. So let me quickly fill this payment method form and click on pay. So it is processing right now. So once it's get done, it will redirect me to the success URL, and I'm getting this 404 page because we don't have any for success URL right now. So after this Stripe checkout, let's make the success route. For that, add app.get request on slash success. Inside this, the first thing we want is to select the variables from the query. So define a variable, and inside the curly brackets make order and session ID, which is inside our query, and set it equals to request dot query. So that way we don't need to write request dot query always when we have to access this order and session ID. You can see the session ID and the order we are sending from the session URL. So once we destruct the variable, add a try block here, because we don't know if the session ID is wrong, it will give error. So for that, add a try block, and inside it make a session variable, set it equals to await because it's a asynchronous function. So add async before the request and response, and in the await set it equals to stripe gateway dot checkout dot session, and instead of create here say retrieve. So it will retrieve the data about this session and pass this session ID inside this retrieve function. So it will retrieve the data regarding this session ID, and if it is true, which means the session is valid, we need to extract the customer name or email. So say customer equals to await stripe gateway dot customer. So stripe gateway dot customer will give you the customer object, and dot retrieve will retrieve the customer. Inside it just pass session dot customer. In this way you can get the data of your customer. So it will give the customer data, which is the name, email, phone number, like that. And after that, just so for now just console log the customer right now to check it's working or not. So just say console.log customer, and let's refresh the page, and let me process the payment again. I guess some error has occurred, so add a catch block also, yes, otherwise it will not work. And the error is okay, we have two response here, so just change the first variable to request, and now if I refresh it, it's working fine. Let me fill the form and click on place order. It will give me the checkout page. Let me fill this form quickly.
So you can see the page is loading because we are not sending any response from the server. That's why it's taking time. So if I open the terminal, you can see we got the name of the client and the email and the invoice prefix and all the related regarding to the customer. So it means this thing is working. So once we are done with the payment, we got the payment, we just need to store that order in our Firebase database so that we can process that order later. So create a date variable, set it equals to new date, and then create a orders collection and set it equals to collection. Pass the db variable and the orders collection because we want to set the document inside the orders collection, and then make another variable saying doc name. Use a template string here, and the first thing we want is the customer email, and then set it to order, and then hyphen, and then the date dot get time. So this will give the unique id to our order of the client. So basically this is just the document name, we are setting it to make it a little bit unique. And just use set doc function to set the document inside that call doc function, and pass the collection which is order collection, and the second is the document name which is doc name, and the second parameter is the data of course which is the order. The first thing is the order is in string, but we want to store it in the object, so for that we have to use json.parse. Once you are done with that, add a then block to process the response we get from the Firebase. And once we store the data in our Firebase, we just want to redirect the user to the checkout page. So for that, say response.redirect /checkout. So it will redirect the user to the checkout with the query of payment equals done. So add a question mark and set it equals to payment equal done. And in the catch, just redirect the user to the 404 page. So if the session id is not valid, he will redirect it to the 404 page. So if I refresh the page again, you can see the data in the address bar. You can see I'm redirected to the checkout, and if I check the address bar, here it is payment equal done. And if I access my Firebase console and go to my Firestore database, inside the orders collection I can see the document and the data. So our data is stored in the Firebase which has address, items and the email. So basically we are done with the payment, and we have stored the address in our database also. We just want to show the alert in our front end. You can see the payment done here in the Stripe dashboard. So we just need to alert the user that payment is done. So inside this onload event, we need to add another if condition. So say if, and inside that condition write location dot search dot includes. So well, location dot search will give you all the queries attached to the route, which is in this case payment done, and includes, which means whether or not the keyword is include or not. So if I paste that in the console, you can see it is saying true, which means we have the payment equal done in our search param, and you can see the location dot search is returning the payment equal done. So if we have a payment equal done inside in our address, we just want to clear the cart. So make a item variable and set it equals to an empty array, and then set the cart of our local storage to this item of empties array, of course, like this. And at the very last, just call show from error function and say order is placed. So this will show the alert box saying order is placed. So if I refresh the page, you can see it is saying order is placed. Okay, so we need to create a cancel alert also. Well, I don't have anything in our cart, so let me add the products quickly. So let me search for sofas and add to cart. Click on checkout and let me fill the form. Click on place order, and if I click on the back button now, it will cancel the payment, right? So we just want to show an alert there that payment is cancelled. So instead of returning only to the checkout route, add a query to it also saying payment fail equal true. So we are sending this query to our front end. So basically we will just check whether or not the payment fail equal true is included in our address bar or not. If it is inside our address, just show the error saying some error occurred, please try again. So this way we are going to alert the user that the payment is cancelled. So if I again fill the form and place order, and again if I click on the back button to cancel the payment, you can see I am saying getting some error occurred, please try again. But there is a issue. You saw the forms were empty, but if I click on the place order, I got the checkout page, right? So to fix that, we need to add a condition here. So just cut this fetch block, cut it for now, and add a if condition here saying if address dot length, which means address has a length, then only we need to make that fetch request. So inside this condition, paste that fetch block. So if I now check the form and if I click on place order, I'm not redirected now. So let me quickly fill the form to check it is working or not. So if I click on it again, okay, it's not working, means the condition is wrong. So instead of adding address.length, add address.address.length. What this condition is, well, our address variable is an object and inside it we have an address key. So we are just checking the variable contains the address key or not. So if it does contain it, we just want to redirect the user, or means we want to make a fetch statement. So if I click on it again, you can see it's working fine now.
So that's it. We are done with today's video. We are done with our e-commerce store website. Again, you can get the source code in just $2, so link is in the description. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you like this video. It will really motivate me. And also do subscribe my channel also, because more awesome tutorials are on their way. With that all, thanks for watching.